Sierra Leone, or as the locals call it in short, Salon, one of the only 3 countries on earth founded by former slaves. Now, this is an interesting country that not a lot of people talk about, and if you know me, those are the countries I like researching the most. So grab a friend while watching, because you won't want to Sierra this episode Leone.
It's time to learn geography now!
You guys remember Jason. Thank you, Jason. He'll be in this episode occasionally, every so often.
Every once in a while.
Every so often.
Yeah.
Sierra Leone gets its name from the Portuguese word for lioness mountains, but little did they know what treasures and stories the land would hold. And you also might want to keep your eyes on the map to figure out where it's located. Which brings us to... how to piss off a Sierra Leonean. Isn't this the place with all the blood diamonds and Ebola?
I don't know. Aren't you from the place that killed cats because you thought they had the bubonic plague, but really it was rats, so you just made it worse by killing off their main predator?
No, I'm from the place that thought drinking mercury was the elixir of immortality. Psh, get your failed historical panacea regions right, dumb.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, my mistake.
That was like so 2002 and 2014. They've moved on and they're moving forward. Anyway, the map. The country is located in West Africa, bordered by Guinea and Liberia, with borders that are mostly made up of rivers and arbitrary lines, like the northernmost point, which is the flat 10th degree parallel. These borders make the country officially the world's roundest shaped country. The nation is divided into 4 provinces, and one area, the western area, known as the Freetown Peninsula, where the capital and largest city, Freetown, can be found. Just across the Tagrin Bay, you find the largest and busiest airport, Lungi International, which is actually located across the bay from Freetown, but the 2 peninsulas are not connected via bridge, so most people arriving from abroad must hire a water taxi or take a helicopter ride if they want to visit Freetown. Otherwise, there is a new small regional airstrip, Hastings Airport, in the south side of the city that is set to help facilitate travel to Freetown. Freetown also holds the busiest shipping port, the Port of Freetown, which also sits on Africa's largest natural harbor. This is the most important gate of commerce and trade for the entire country, as most exports and imports pass directly through this point. After Freetown, the second and third largest cities are Bo and Kanema, which also hold their own small regional airports as well. The country is further divided into 12 districts and 149 chiefdoms. The country used to have a common carrier rail line that went from Freetown to Daru, but was closed in 1974, and today only a mineral transport rail line operates between the port of Papel to the Marampa iron ore mine, with future extensions to Tonkolili. The country has hundreds of islands and islets off their coasts, thanks to the serrated river tributaries. Many of these islands host luxury resorts like the Turtle Islands and the Banana Islands. The largest of these islands is Sherbro, sitting on the drainage of 3 mighty rivers, the Kitam, the Taya, and the Bagru. Fun fact, just keep in mind, this very narrow sandspit peninsula is cut off and shared on the southern border with Liberia, right at the mouth of the Mono River. Yeah, you guys know me, I love weird border anomalies. Part of the reason why I started this show. That and Bob Saget. Anyway, interesting side note I've gotten from travelers, if you want to visit Sierra Leone, your best bet is to just fly in and out. Although the country is a wonderful destination, the borders are notorious for having complications with foreigners entering or exiting. Here's my buddy Gus explaining.
I traveled through West Africa solo for 3 months with no flights, and when I came to the border of Sierra Leone, I had some problems with corrupt police officers who tried to scam me to pay for fake vaccines, a cholera vaccine for $100, etc. It was an annoying start to a very beautiful trip through Sierra Leone, a beautiful country full of friendly people and some very beautiful beaches, so go.
Yeah, beware of the cholera vaccine requirement. That's not a requirement. They'll try to push, just take note of that. Anyway, Sierra Leone, I don't know, did I miss any other facts?
They had a dispute with Guinea over the town Yanga after the Civil War.
Oh yeah, that.
Turner's Peninsula is the longest stretch of uninterrupted and almost completely uninhabited beach in the country.
Yeah, sure.
Less than 10% of the roads are, like, paved.
Sure, yeah.
You wrote these last-minute factoids in the script just to fill space before the notable place segments.
Pretty much. And here we go. Some places of interest you might want to check out in case if you decide to visit someday might include St. John's Church, the Baitul Sabu Masjid and Freetown Central Mosques, Peace Museum, the National Museum of Sierra Leone, Takugama Chimpanzee Sanctuary, the Giant Cotton Tree of Freetown, the forts of Bunce Island, the Martello Tower, Fort Thornton, the National Railway Museum, so many beaches and island resorts like these, and one of the top spots, the Loma Mountains. And speaking of mountains, Sierra Leone has a very interesting land structure, which brings us to... Now, with regards to land, Sierra Leone is just about as deep and true to West Africa as you can get. First of all, the country has generally 4 topographic regions. You have the coastal mangrove belt with low-lying swampy marshes at the ends of the rivers. A little further inland, you have the forested hill country. A little further, you have the upland plateau. And finally, the Loma Mountains in the east. Interestingly enough, though, the Freetown Peninsula is the only place on the coast with an average elevation higher than the sea level to 100-meter range. These hills are called the Lion Mountains that extend 30 kilometers and at their highest reach almost 900 meters high. Geologists speculate that the reasoning behind this could be partially factored by the ever so slight thrust fault line pushing west that curves through the western part of the country. This makes them the only significant coastal mountains in Africa between Morocco and Cameroon, which is why they were so highly noted upon European discovery. The highest point of the country, though, is Bintumani, part of the Loma mountain chain. In the mountainous area, you also find the largest inland body of water, Lake Sonfon, sometimes called Lake Tourism. From these mountains flow many of the hundreds of mighty rivers and tributaries that drain into the Atlantic, the main ones being the Moa, the Sewa, the Taya, the Little Scarseas in the north, and the longest and largest river, the Rokel, that bisects the upper third of the country. Sierra Leone also lies entirely within the Guinea-Congolean bioclimactic zone of West Africa, which means it receives some of the highest levels of rainfall out of all countries in Africa, averaging about 80 to 120 inches annually, especially during the monsoon season between June and October. Yeah, lots of water, which can be good and bad. Good because, you need water to live. Bad, though, because, it can also give life to bad things like viruses. Yes, Sierra Leone was pretty much the epicenter of the 2014 Ebola virus outbreak. The situation was handled, and as of 2016, the country has been declared Ebola-free. No more. All right, and with that, it's time for my triple shot of espresso break with this mug that you can get at geographynow.com, which means, usually Noah comes in, but Noah is unfortunately busy this time.
Not gonna make it today. Maybe next time.
So, I don't know, Hannah, why don't you fill in?
Actually, I already have a segment and I'm not willing to work overtime, so how about you just use this husband man of mine? He can do it.
Okay, Ian, I guess you're in.
Good luck.
Hello. As a developing nation, most people in Sierra Leone are still quite dependent on subsistence agriculture, with about 2/3 of the population. Nonetheless, their country is rich in mineral deposits such as titanium ores, bauxite, and, of course, diamonds, which alone make up about half of all mining products. The drainage basins of the Kono, Kenema, and Bo districts alone have the highest concentration of mines in the country, with over 1,700. Now, we all know in the past, many of these diamonds played a dark role in the Civil War. I mean, they even made a movie about it. Today, however, the Mines and Minerals Act of 2009 puts the Ministry of Mineral Resources in charge of management. They are a part of the extraction industry's Transparency Initiative.
Doing good so far, Ian.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate you.
I'm not disappointed.
In any case, Sierra Leone is growing fast, often ranking in the top 3 countries with the highest industrial production growth rate. They were number 1 in 2013 with an 88% growth rate. 88%! Nonetheless, the country still has many areas to address and work on, especially in the energy sector. Today, only about 20% of the country has access to regular electricity, and about 10% alone is concentrated just in the Freetown Peninsula. In any case, it's time to move on to the animal section, and with Gary Harlow, everyone.
With a tropical, lush eco-region, Sierra Leone is the perfect place for life to flourish. Over 140 mammals, over 600 birds, and almost 70 reptile species. The country has over 20 national parks, including the largest ones, the Utumba, the Kungari Hills, and the Gola Forest Reserve. Now, although lions are found on the coat of arms, to this day, there are virtually no permanent lion prides inhabiting Sierra Leone. In fact, the mammal they are most famous for are primate species, about 15 in total, including the olive and guinea baboons, green monkeys, and the national animal, the chimpanzee. Birds of all types nest and breed here too, like the African harrier hawk, iris, glossy starling, and the white-necked rockfowl. Don't forget, the rivers and mangroves are home to some of the most endangered species of the aquatic mammals, like the African manatee and above-ground pygmy hippos that can be found there as well.
Do a hippo sound.
That's a hippo sound, right?
Finally, you can find one of the largest butterflies. Should I do a butterfly impersonation?
Do a butterfly sound.
The giant African swallowtail here, with a wingspan that can reach about 25 centimeters.
Thank you, Gary Harlow. You can leave now.
Sweet.
That's pretty weird, but okay. We're revoking your visa. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Ian. Unfortunately, Ian had to leave a little early, but we still got to finish this segment. Who else do we got to fill in? I don't know. Maybe we need some... oh, hey, Jason on his one wheel is here. Look at that. Oh, he's floating. Okay.
And with that, it's time to finish off the section like we always do. Food! Now, Sierra Leone follows many of the same Western African styles of cuisine when it comes to dishes. Every meal usually comes with a starch staple, and most common ones being rice and fufu. Common dishes you can expect might include